Do you think the best runners in the world run every day all year round? Let me save you the suspense. They don't. Because no days off is how you end up with no PBs, no knees, and no motivation. But here's the real question. When should you rest? How much is too much? And is rest even the right word for it? I'm a sports scientist, physiotherapist, and former professional triathlete. And in this video, I'm gonna show you why most people get rest days completely wrong, how to time your rest days to run faster for longer, the real difference between active and passive recovery, and why skipping recovery might be the biggest reason you're stuck in a plateau. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to recover like elite athletes and get faster by doing less. But before we get into tactics, let's clear something up. Because what even is a rest day? Most advice online will tell you that recovery is just about your body. Like, let your muscles recover. But in reality, that's only part of the picture. What you really need to understand is what scientists refer to as the allostatic load. Let me explain what allostatic load is with a story from my own professional career. You see, when I was a professional triathlete, I would train for around 25 to 35 hours per week. At the same time, I was studying to become a sports scientist and later a physiotherapist. And every year, the same thing happened. In June, three huge things would collide. The World Championships, my university exams, and the biggest social gatherings with my friends and my family. Now, if you looked at my training plan, everything looked fine. The volume was manageable and there was no sign of overloading. But here's the thing. Our training doesn't live in a vacuum. We're not just muscles. We are whole people. And when you're also stressed from work or studying or social events, that's when things start to creep up. It all adds to your body's stress levels, even if you're not moving. And that's what scientists mean when they say allostatic load. It's the mental stress, the everyday pressure, and the physical load. All of it builds up in your system and you have to recover from all of it, not just from your training. And in May, my trainer knew this. So during exam periods and hard training blocks, we would cut back on everything else. That meant no social events, no late nights, just training, studying, and sleeping. And I know that might sound intense, but it kept me from burning out or getting injured. Then later in the year, when training was easier and there were no pressure from exams, then we would make room for family and friends. And that's what a smart rest strategy looks like, not just for elite runners or professional athletes, but also for everyday people, because we got families, we got jobs, we got presentations, we got races, and we need to plan for all of it. And it's not just about skipping a long run. It's about managing your total life stress so you can actually recover and then perform when it matters. So how do you measure allostatic load to know when you need to take a rest day? Maybe not just from training, but also from work or social life? Here's the truth. You probably won't notice it in your training plan. You won't see it in your running pace or your heart rate either at first. But your body always sends you signals. You just have to listen. Here are a few signs that your allostatic load is too high. You wake up feeling tired even after a full night's sleep. You feel easily irritated or overwhelmed by small things. Your workouts feel harder than usual, even the easy ones. Your motivation drops. Not just in training, but in everything. You start to notice little aches or stiffness or signs of injury. Your focus is off, so working or even maintaining a conversation feels harder. When you start to tick off a few of those boxes, it's your body saying, hey buddy, I'm not recovering from everything you're throwing at me. And it might be time to rest. Not just physically, but also mentally. Sometimes it means skipping a workout, and sometimes it means skipping a social event. And oftentimes it means a night off to yourself with your phone turned off, your feet up, and no one to take care of but yourself. You see, recovery isn't just sleep and protein shakes. It's space. It's quiet. It's balance. And when you don't get that balance, your body fights back. And not just with sore muscles, but with deep hormonal changes that will wreck your progress. Let me ask you something. Have you ever finished a run and then felt like you aged 3 decades in 1 hour? That's not just sore legs. It's what's called systemic fatigue. And unfortunately, It's worse than you think. A study from 2018 published in the journal Hormones found that male athletes training more than 7 hours a week had a 10% drop in testosterone after just 1 year. But it gets worse. After 5 years, they had a drop of 30%. Another study from 2020 showed that testosterone levels dropped during the high volume phase of the season, and it only bounced back once the training load came down. In other words, your body fights back when it does not get enough recovery. And this isn't just about guys. For female athletes, it's a bit harder to study because their hormones fluctuate a bit more during a month. But the results are just as real and maybe even more dangerous. One review from 2019 found that even a small mismatch between how much energy you burn and how much you eat can shut down key hormones, weaken your bones, and raise your injury risk. And also, it can block your ability to adapt to training. And it's not just about the total calories throughout the day. Studies from 2017 and 2018 showed that when you have big gaps in energy throughout the day, your body still suffers, even if you eat enough later. Plus, whether you're a man or a woman, when you're training hard, the stress hormone cortisol goes up and it's reluctant to come back down unless you recover. That means less recovery and more breakdown. So here's the big takeaway. Every hard training day may mess with your hormones, turn up your total stress, and risks throwing you off energy balance. And that's why rest days matter. They help refill energy stores, balance out your hormones, and lower your total stress so that you can actually adapt to your training. Because if you never rest, your fatigue never resets. It just compounds, like credit card debt, but in your joints. Now, before I show you exactly how to structure your rest days, let's talk about something equally important. What not to do on a rest day and what to actually do instead, and the differences between active and passive recovery. Because this is where a lot of runners mess up. So let's quickly go through 3 things not to do on rest day, even though they are very common. Don't make up for skipping your run by packing your day with extra work stress. Just because you're not training doesn't mean it's a free-for-all. Like we discussed, your training does not live in a vacuum. Stress is stress. Don't turn it into leg day at the gym either. But hey, it's strength work. Cool. But if your legs are fried, then doing squats on your rest day won't help. Also, don't go to the bar with your friends and dance until 3 a.m. and call it rest. Your body disagrees. So here's what a real recovery day looks like. Sleep a lot. 8 hours is good. 10 hours is fantastic. Eat a lot. You need fuel to rebuild. Don't starve your recovery. Drink a lot. Recovery takes water. A lot of it. Chill. And that does not mean doom scrolling all day long. Cuddle a dog. Go for a walk. Lie on the floor questioning all your life's choices. Whatever makes you relax. On top of that, you could do sauna, or get a massage, or do foam rolling. Whatever helps lower your stress. But what's the deal about active recovery? Isn't that supposed to be better? There are really 2 ways to recover. Active and passive. Active means that you get the blood going a bit, and passive means total rest. Think of it like this. Active recovery might be an easy spin on a bike, it might be a light walk or some light swimming. It's not hard strength training, and it's not a 1-hour jog, even if it's zone 2. If you go for a light jog in zone 2, it's still a training stimulus. It's just not a hard one, but it's not recovery. Passive recovery is no training and no structure. Just rest. So which one's better? The truth is, we need both. So now you're probably wondering, if I need both, then when am I going to do what? Use passive recovery when you're totally fried. Use active recovery when you feel like you want to keep moving and you know that it will lower your stress. But here's the golden rule. If your heart rate goes too high or your brain feels like it's still grinding, it's not recovery. It's still training. Now that you know how to rest right, let's talk about the big one. How do you actually structure your rest days throughout the training week, and how much is too much? Let's look at what elite runners do. A study from 2017 followed elite German distance runners for 3 intense training camps at altitude. The researchers then measured what they called psychobiological stress markers every day. So think that they could basically measure allostatic load each and every day. They wanted to see what was the optimal amount of rest. And what they found was pretty interesting. They found that there's no perfect number of rest days that works for everyone. So instead, they recommended adjusting training based on the following 3 variables: how we are feeling, how much fatigue we are building up, and how well we are adapting to training. So here's a general guideline that I've used to measure this myself. Every day I measure my total stress from 1 to 5 in my responsibilities, in my work, and in my training. Whenever I see all of them going up at once, I know it's time to take a rest. But if you don't know what to do and have no idea when to rest, then here are some general guidelines. If you're training less than 4 times per week, then you're probably getting enough rest, at least from a physical standpoint, so you don't have to worry that much about it. If you're training 4 to 6 times per week, you want to do the following. Take rest days before or after your hardest sessions, so your long runs or your interval sessions. Consider back-to-back rest days in your recovery weeks, and align your rest with life stress. So if you're usually extremely busy at work on Monday, then rest on Mondays. And please, for the love of knees and sanity, don't train 7 days per week unless you're an elite athlete and know exactly what you're doing. But what about running streaks? I know that some of you are thinking, but I'm on a 127-day streak. I can't stop now. Cool. But also, why? You know what running streaks don't care about? Your tendons, your sleep quality, your training adaptations, and your race results. Don't get me wrong, consistency is amazing, but obsession with never resting, not so much. Sometimes the most disciplined thing you can do is to not run. But how much rest is too much? Here's the truth. Too much is not always about how much you're doing. It's about how much you can actually recover from. 2 runners can be on the exact same training plan, and one gets injured and one gets better. So why is that? It's because recovery is not just about what you did. It's about how much your body and brain can handle right now. But here's the good news. The ability to recover is trainable in and of itself. If you sleep well, fuel consistently, and take rest seriously, your body can learn to handle more. That means that over time, your recovery gets better and faster. And then your stress tolerance improves. What used to break you now builds you. That's why I was able to train for 35 hours per week, and why elite athletes can handle so much more volume than the rest of us. It's not that they are genetic freaks and started that way. It's because they trained it for years. So instead of chasing the perfect mileage, chase the perfect balance between hard training and recovery. And then build that engine up so you can take more, recover faster, and become better. And when in doubt, take an extra day off. So, do you really need rest days? Yes, you need rest days. But more importantly, you need to deserve them. And that only happens when you train with intent, not ego. And I'll teach you exactly how to do that in this video right here.